We continue learning Dirshu Mishnah Berurah as we begin a new Siman. Siman Kof Ayin Chas, which the Mechaber coins, Ezed Dvarim Karuyin Hefsek B'Seudah. What is considered a hefsek in middle of a meal? And this is really going to dive us deeply into the world of brachos. The truth is, I don't even know if we're going to start the Mechaber today. We're going to begin with the Mishnah Berurah. Why are we going to begin with the Mishnah Berurah? Usually the Mechaber comes first. The reason is, says the Mishnah Berurah over here, due to the complexity of the Siman, let's begin with a Hakdama. Like a good Rebbe, the Mishnah Berurah is, before even wanting us to get confused, he tries to clarify. So says the Mishnah Berurah, there are many details. Al kain, therefore, aktim lazak dama kitzara. Let's have a small introduction in order to ease it on the learning. Hine, the Indian shino yimakim, with regarding shino yimakim, changing one's place. Hainu, what does that mean? One begins to eat, and he goes to another place, and he wants to continue eating in that second place. Or he wants to go back to the original place and eat there. You have to make a new bracha. Says the Mishnah Berurah, there are three details that we need to be mevayer. Number one, mahu shinoi makom, what is considered changing place in mebayis labayis or il cheder. Number two, beiset varim shayach din yishim makom, and what items is this din relevant? And number three, im shinoi mekaymai, if you did such, ma dinoi bazeh, what is the halacha? Benachse levayer echad echad, and now let us explain each one onto itself. Number one, Inyan Shini Makom, with regard to changing a place. Needless to say, if you go middle of a meal from one place to the next, that's a short Shini Makom. Even if you just walked out of the door in middle of eating, powerful words, all you did is you went lepesach beisai. Gam came b'chlal shini makim. That as well is considered changing place. Even if one has das, that does not make a difference. And even in shini rak mecheder lecheder, you only move from room to room. Gam came seven shini makim. Many hold that even was one room to the next, that as well is already called shini makim. Beralach is going to discuss this point. If you had in mind to move from one room to the next, then mutter, then it's allowed, because it's all under one roof. Meaning, so din number one we have to know is das works when from cheder lecheder, from room to room. Within room from corner to corner. I feel attracting gadol, even a large ballroom. It's all one room. You don't even need das. Rule number two is that if you're within one room, then you don't even need das, as it is all considered one area. It's all one room, and therefore das is not necessary. Number two, we have to explain which items are shayach shinei makayim. Das Rav Sheshes Savar. The Rav Sheshes holds that what? Says Rav Sheshes, whether we're discussing pas, whether we're discussing peiros and other drinks, Dina and Shava Bezad Zar Lachs Levarich. Says Rav Sheshes, the dinim are the same, that you need to go back and make a brach. Rav Chisda argues, Rav Chisda Savar Tafka, Emachal Davar, Shein Ta'un Bracha B'Mekaymei. Says Rav Chisda. Let's hone in on Rav Chisda, as there's going to be very large relevance to halacha. Says Rav Chisda, only if you eat items that do not require a bracha, bime kaimai. What does those words mean? Ratzalaymar. Kegoin peiros umashkin she'ein mechuyav davka levarich bracha achrona shalem bime kaimai. Like fruits and drinks that you're not obligated to make a bracha on them, only in their place, harishain. Fruits and drinks, you're allowed to make the bracha achroina wherever you are. Valkein, and therefore, amrina to take if sha'akar mekaimai nisbat al kviyusai. It's a little bit counterintuitive, so let's understand. Something that you do not have to come back for the bracha achroina. Sha'akal eitzadama. Then, the moment you left your place, your original kaviyas is nisbatel. Why? Because I have nothing left in this place, because I couldn't make the bracha achrayna anywhere. You have to make a new, therefore, you're going to have to make a new bracha when you want to continue eating. That's on a sha'akal and a dama. The contrast hopefully will make this very clear. But if you eat bread, some say it's not only bread, but any item of the Shivas Aminim. That you have to davka make a bracha in the original place. Al-Kain. Therefore, therefore we said that even if you're a akar, your original kaviyas did not end. Why did the original kaviyas not end? Because you got to go back for the bracha achrayna. And therefore, wherever you eat, because you got to go back for your bracha achrayna. Therefore, it's always considered like you're in that original place. And therefore, you don't have to make a new amaitzi. So again, comes along Rav Chisda. And Rav Chisda teaches us when it comes to amaitzi and maybe al ha'etz for the shivas aminim, you're not going to have to make a new bracha because it's always considered like you're in that place based on the fact that you would theoretically, and I don't say theoretically, let's just tell you what it says, based on the fact that you have to go back to the original place to make your bracha achrayna. Therefore, it's not considered that your original kaviyas is nisbatel, and therefore your bracha continues, and you don't need to make a new hamaitzi, etc. Says Mr. Bura, haram of ziyat baskir of sheishas, like the first shita. Debechol gam nizar levarich. On one hand, the Rambam is going to be much easier because you're always going to have to make a new bracha. I mean, it's going to be more difficult because you're always going to be making new brachas. But everything, you make a new bracha. This is the first two sifim. And that's like Ramah, Shuva b'Seif Sif Beis. That's the Ramah and Sif Beis. This is where we mentioned, as we always say, we're talking a little bit more Ashkenazi, that we should hone in on Rav Chisda, because this is going to be the Ramah at the end of Sif Beis. Says Mishnah Berurah, this is only to make a new bracha. Avol lechatchila ein lakar mimkoyme lekule alma b'chol gavni, loaded line b'chol gavni. You should never change your place. Now this is din number 3. What is it? Din of shini makom. Nachla ba'izim gam game bazeh haram of ziyata seven dimishachzar shemachazal mekaymai betchila asar levarich berach samaz. The Rambam and his team hold when you go back, you got to make berach samazin. Ay bracha achronik shachal davar shechavel bracha achreina alei chashachal mikaydim. You got to first make a bracha achreina and then. To make a new bracha that's going to be Sivalf. Bishar Baiskim Savior, and they argue in the Rambam. That when you lose your bracha, what does that mean? That means you need to make a new bracha rishayna. Avala bracha achrayna. And you can make one bracha achrayna on everything. That's going to be the Ramah, the beginning of Sif Beis. L'mais, Says Mishnah Berurah. Naktina Akol Kedas Abayis Move by go. We're going to go with the Ramah. Yes, brought the Adinim Amistafin Lazay Yivura Akolim here. Hashem Siman Vatin Schalavayer is Tivrei Asifin. So a beautiful Akdama the Mishnah Berurah. Let's see the Dirshu on the Akdama. Note number 1 says the Dirshu that if you have das from Cheder to Cheder works. What does it mean? You have das at the time of the bracha. Chaim Nievsky's mistabek. Do you need to have kavana b'shas the bracha mamish, or is it enough right after you had a bracha? Right after the bracha b'toch dibur, you could still have kavana, which often is what happens. Right when you finish the bracha, that's when you realize you're going to move places. But he's asking that before the bracha, that certainly helps, which again, that's even more common. Before you start, you have in mind, okay, I know I'm going to eat in place A and B, but then during the bracha, your mind turns off. That's certainly going to be enough. Finally, Dirshu number 2 points out over here, this is all regarding the bracha going back. Now, one who wants to be yaitz the chayvitz bracha b'diavad, meaning you made a mezainis of something that requires a shahakol, says Ramosha, lechatchila, you should uproot your place to require a new bracha. And that's not called a bracha she'inei sricha, because you're not able to eat right now, because you want to be lechatchila. Again, you made a mezainis on something that the bracha is a shackle. So b'diavad it's going to work. The problem is you want to be a lechatchila Jew. So says Ramosha Feinstein, you know you do. Create a shini makayim. We just learned many scenarios. You walk out of your house, etc. Create a shini makam. The Mishnah Berurah said you should never do this. So the Dirshu here is pointing out, that if you're doing it to save you from, to put you into a matzav of lechatchila, that is allowed. However, Rav Yashav argues, he says, no, lamaisa you're yaitse with the bracha that you made, and therefore you should not do anything to create yourself the bracha lechatchila. Finally, and we're going to conclude today's share with number 3, which is that the Mishnah Berurah ended and said that we go with the Ramah. Dirshu over here points out from Ramah Talmidei Chacham and Yiras Hashem. Says Ramosha Feinstein, they're going to be machmer like all shitais. Shaloy lagia lidei kula lafi achas mea shitais. So Ramosha is giving us a big limud, really to start off the sugya that even though we're going to find perhaps a myriad of what we would call kulais, I don't know if the word is kulais, but a myriad of reasons to be makel. Lamaisa Talmidei Chacham Yiras Hashem are going to be looking to be sufficing as many shitais as possible. Continues Dirshu over here, even b'nei Sfard, that generally paskin like the Shulchan Aruch says the Kaf Chayim, b'shem the Chesed Alofim, and the Afal Lev, and the Ben Ish Chai, they as well are going to be machmir, like the Ramah, not to make a bracha in many scenarios, even when the Shulchan Aruch says, yeah, due to Safik Brachas Lahakel and the Shita of the Ramah. The Arlet Zion comes along and he says, well, it's not a bracha of Atala, it's a bracha she'nei tzricha. Then you could go to Shulchan Aruch even when the Ramah is chaylik for Svardim. It's not called Safik Brachas Lehakel. Okay, that is the Akdama. Siyata Dishmaya will properly begin Simikuf Ayit, not properly, this was a proper beginning, but we'll begin Sif Aleph in the next year, Mirza Hashem.